Hey friends, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing so well, and welcome back to another Sunday Brands video. If you haven't been paying attention, I have been putting out a list of brands to be on the lookout for every Sunday for the last couple weeks for sure. And so today we're going to be tackling designer brands. As you guys can probably tell from the title, these are going to be 50 brands that resell for a ton of money. Designer level brands. But these are going to be things that you're not going to find every time you go to the thrift store. But the purpose of these videos is to show you guys what labels look like from these brands so that you can recognize the piece when you're out there. And I know that there's going to be questions about like fake versus authentic pieces, but also just knowing what an authentic tag looks like is helpful. And then if you want to get something authenticated later, you can. But this is just to help you recognize the pieces out in the wild because some of these are not going to be your standard designer pieces that everyone knows. So good brands to be on the lookout for. There's 50 of them. Resell is going to be hundreds of dollars. You're not going to find them every time, but this will help you recognize them when you do. So if you guys appreciate all of the work and effort I put into these videos, then please hit that subscribe button and also give today's video a thumbs up. But let's jump into the 50 designer labels brands. Let's do this. Okay, we're going to start off with number one, which is a brand that a lot of people do know, but it has to be on the list because it does resell for really good money, and that is Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton makes really great designer bags. The one that you want to be on the lookout for from this brand is usually like the Neverfull is the name of it. It's a larger bag, but Louis Vuitton is a very, very expensive designer brand and one you should definitely know. Brand number two is Chanel. Chanel also makes quite a few different things. So as is the case for a lot of designer brands, they have perfumes and things like that as well. And a lot of those pieces can still go for really good money on the resale market, to be honest. So Chanel is another one to know, but also Coco Chanel, they have these flat bags. Those are very sought after from this brand. So very good brand to know. Brand number three is Gucci, and Gucci, of course, is a household name. It gets faked a lot, but the quality on a real piece is impeccable. So I have picked up a Gucci dress in the bins before, and I resold it for over $300. It was a great find. A Gucci piece can go for hundreds of dollars. And that's another thing that usually people have heard of, but don't worry, we have some things coming up that you probably haven't heard of. Next up, we have Prada. Prada, again, very, very expensive, but also very, I would say, much more well known. They also have these really nice, more like nylon style bags that everybody is like wanting to have right now. So Prada is one of those things that people also recognize because of The Devil Wears Prada. It has really great brand knowledge, but it's kind of harder to find. But when you do find it, this is just another reminder that it's worth picking up. Then the next designer level item is going to be Supreme. Now, Supreme is not in the same category as all these other brands. It actually is more like streetwear, and it's definitely a newer label compared to some of these really old, like generational brands. But Supreme, one of the things to definitely be on the lookout for from them is their box logo hoodie. So anything that is, again, a more substantial piece from Supreme is going to do well. A lot of their stocks and restocks sell out so quickly, and so it's definitely a really sought after brand. So if you find something Supreme, definitely make sure it's authentic, but they are worth really good money. And then next up is a brand that, I've been in the resale space now for a while, but I had not heard of this, and it's Goyard. And I'm sure other people are like, you haven't heard of that, but maybe you haven't either. So this is to help all of us that haven't heard of it. Goyard is another like bag brand, and so if you can find one of their totes, the St. Louis tote to be exact, those things will resell on Poshmark for $500. eBay, I'm sure it's around the same number. So Goyard is a really good brand to know, and it has a very interesting look to their bags where it looks almost like they're not that expensive, but they really are. So be on the lookout for that one for sure. And then we have Van Cleef and Arpels. And something from them is actually a bracelet. The Alhambra bracelet can resell for a lot of money, and it's definitely one of those brands that it's never been on my radar, but it also might be worth looking through jewelry sections at the thrift store if you're not normally a more hard good person. Check out that jewelry section. If you're normally more a clothing person, if you have time, check out that jewelry section because that actually has some, great money hidden in there, I'm sure. Now, as is the case with most of these names, as they get harder and harder, I know I'm going to butcher them, so I'm sorry in advance. I'm doing the best I can. Next is Hermes. Hermes, the Birkin bag from this brand is like one of those sought after things. I think the Kardashians also all had Birkin bags or something like in pop culture. But it's kind of like one of those bags that like everybody is like, oh, someday I hope to be able to afford one of those, which is very interesting. But if you can find something from Hermes, even just like a normal piece or maybe a scarf, still good resale value. The Birkin bag is like the top tier. Like if you find one of those, they can sell, like I think the new ones maybe cost $30,000. They're very expensive. So very interesting. Then we have Moncler, and Moncler makes some clothing, but also the thing that they're really known for is like coats, jackets, and the mocha puffer coat is like the top tier. If you find that, resale is so crazy. And I know you can find this in the thrift store. I actually just saw somebody that I follow on Instagram, a reseller. She found a Moncler jacket just in her thrift store. Of course, she lives in California, so maybe it's more common there, but it's possible. And if you don't know the name, you're going to have a less chance of finding it than if you do. So Moncler. And then we have Bottega Veneta. And Bottega Veneta, again, they make, bags. So a lot of these are going to be really nice designer bags. But Bottega Veneta, again, pieces will resell for hundreds, if not $1,000. So definitely one to be on the lookout for. Then we have Telfar, again, another bag. But I'm going to give you a look at what the outside, like what the logo looks like, because I think even some of these logos are going to be more important than the actual tag on the inside, because those tags can be easily replicated. But if you can recognize it from sight and then get in and look on the inside, it's going to be easier for you. So there's Telfar. And then we have Burberry, and Burberry is very nice, but this is also one that I happen to find quite a bit more often than other designer labels. I'm not really sure why, but I have found a Burberry belt in the bins before. I found a Burberry jacket at my buy sell trade store. I have found Burberry like a polo just out at a regular thrift store. So it's definitely something to be on the lookout for. And another thing about it is too, even like more plain pieces like a polo can still go for good money. I think I had a long sleeve brown polo that I sold for around $80. So some of the things can go for exceptional money, and even more plain pieces can still do well. So that's great. Then we have Mumu. Now, this is a brand that I like kick myself over because, again, it's one of those brands that maybe if you don't grow up in the designer world, maybe you don't know it. And I definitely saw a dress from this brand at the thrift store the other day, like a couple weeks ago, like months ago, I shouldn't say, but, and I was going quick and I didn't know it, so I just passed it. And now I think back to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, what was it? But I didn't know, and you can't blame yourself for not knowing something, but you can use these videos and other research opportunities as a way to further your knowledge so you miss less of those opportunities. So Mumu, they make, shoes, dresses, clothing, probably bags as well, and so wanted to be on the lookout for. And then we have Dior, which of course a lot of people do know. Dior, so more of the more recent things are going to just be Dior, and then the bag that has that interesting shape, the saddlebag, I think is what it's called. That one can resell for a lot of money. But then also Christian Dior things in general. I find Christian Dior more frequently, kind of like Burberry. Some of the Christian Dior pieces, I found a coat recently at the thrift store, and then I've also found Christian Dior pieces in the bins too. So one of those pieces that can resell really well, I think I sold a sweatshirt I found in the bins, a vintage one for $100. So even vintage can do really well. And that one is a little bit easier to tell if it's fake, in my opinion. So let's move on now to Tiffany & Company. So Tiffany, again, it's really well known for its packaging, those blue boxes, but Tiffany is really well known for its jewelry, and rightly so, breakfast at Tiffany's. But also they have other things as well. Like I had a lovely subscriber send me a Tiffany & Company ornament, and so things from Tiffany can go for a lot of money. So definitely a very nice brand to know, and that one is a little bit more recognizable from its packaging, but here's what the actual brand it looks like. And then we have Chloe. Now, I have found Chloe in the bins before too, a pair of shoes, and those resold for around $100, but they make bags and shoes. And then the thing about Chloe too is the newer logo is worth a lot of good money. If you can find a logoed pair of shoes, even they're just a flat, but they have like these straps going back and forth with Chloe written on it over and over again, those things can go for hundreds of dollars. The more it has the logo, the better with this brand. So Chloe, very nice brand, and I have found it, but I still would not be mad about finding it again. Then we have Givenchy, and this brand I've only found at, I found in the bins. Oh my gosh. I think you guys might need to go check out some of my my bins hauls, because dang, I found Givenchy in the bins as well. So this brand, they have clothing. They also have purses and shoes. And I have seen a pair of Givenchy shoes at Buffalo Exchange before. It was early on in my career. I really would have needed to look up comps, and so I did not pick those up, but I kind of regret that. But again, definitely worth looking up comps, but that is what the logo and brand looks like. And then we have Dolce & Gabbana, which is a very nice brand. They have bags, and then they also do clothing as well. I have found a Dolce & Gabbana like just top at a Goodwill one time, and it was really messed up and had holes and stains, so I didn't pick it up. But you can find pieces like that out in the thrift, but it's helpful if you know the brand, of course. So we have Bulgari, and this one is good to know too, because the U kind of looks like a V for this one. So it's really hard to look up brands if you can't read the actual letters. And so this one is good to take a look at just so you know what it looks like. And then we have Versace, which again is kind of more well known, but you can find this. I found 3 pieces of Versace in the bins once, and then I ended up making like almost $1,000 off of them. So definitely something to be on the lookout for. And then if you know what the actual logo looks like, very helpful when you can try to authenticate things yourself. This is something I sent into the Resell, and that is a good option for any of these brands. If you are unsure if you have something authentic, you can always send it into the Resell and they can resell it for you, or at least send it back to you and tell you it's not real. So that's something I do all the time. Now we have Longchamp, and this again is a more famous like bag brand. I'm sure they have other things on their repertoire as well, but that is a brand I would be on the lookout for along with the logo. And then we have YSL, Yves Saint Laurent, and I do think that I have found this in the bins as well. Why am I finding all these designer labels like in the Goodwill outlet? That is crazy to me. But another one that they also have, I see a lot of their perfume and, cologne. And so a lot of these brands will have that as well, and something to be on the lookout for. Next, we have Christian Louboutin. Now, these are really famous for having the red bottoms to the shoes. I have bought and sold a pair from my local buy-sell trade store, like a Plato's Closet before. And the other time I found these, I bought them for $10 at a random Salvation Army or Goodwill in the middle of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And they resold for $385. So it's possible to find these things, guys, especially when you're just out regular thrifting. I have found a lot of these brands and I have not paid very much for them. So something just to recognize the brands as you're out thrifting. I know I get some people in the comments like, oh, you're never going to find these. I have, and I don't go like spend tons of money for all of my stuff that I resell. So there's Christian Louboutin. Then we have Moschino, and this also goes hand in hand with Love Moschino. And this brand, they have some very interesting pieces. So the things that are more sought after usually are just kind of like the logo pieces, but then also the Love Moschino from this brand has like, some of the pieces have like these cartoons all over them, which are very interesting. I actually have a bag sitting in my eBay and Poshmark closets that is from Love Moschino that I got in the bins. And I think I have it listed at like $200. So Moschino, I believe, is better than the Love Moschino, but definitely a brand to know, because somebody else had this bag in their cart at the bins, looked at it, thought it looked weird, and then threw it back in with the dust bag, like both of them in different parts of the bin. And I was like, are you done with this? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, and grabbed it because I knew it was worth money, but she didn't. She should have watched my videos. And then we have Issey Miyake, which again, very nice brand. We're gonna fly through a few of these. Celine, great brand. A lot of people have heard of that. And then we have Fendi, which again, I have found in the Goodwill outlet and resold a like bra top for $100. And so Fendi is another one of those brands that can get faked a lot, but I do think that they also have some really nice pieces, and I think a lot of their bags do really well too. So then we have Balenciaga, and Balenciaga is one that I feel like a lot of people maybe they know, but they just don't like gravitate towards. I found a Balenciaga jumpsuit romper in my bins as well. So I paid like $1 for this like Paris blue velour jumpsuit romper, and it's still up for sale in my closets as well. And I think I'm asking around $800 for it, but it's very interesting, some of the pieces that you're able to find. And I am telling you guys these things that I have found because I feel like it makes it like you could find it too. You might just find it once, but at least you might find it as well wherever you are located. Then after Balenciaga, we have Valentino, which again is a very nice brand. And then we have Valentino, followed by Giorgio Armani. Some Armani pieces are not created equally. I find Armani Collezioni, I find that more often, and that one isn't worth as much. And like also Armani Exchange, not worth very much money. So maybe these things are retailing for a lot, but you have to look at the resale of them. So I would definitely look up which label you have from Armani, because I think Giorgio Armani is really where the money is. And so you've got to be more careful with that one. Then we have Alexander McQueen, and I have found a dress at the thrift store. I paid like, I think $7, and I sold it for $100 within a day. And then I also just found another Alexander McQueen. I found a hoodie recently at the thrift, so I'm very excited about that. Still have to list that. Looking forward to it. Those pieces from Alexander can do really well. Alexander McQueen also passed away, and so some of the pieces that you can find from like his last season will sell for hundreds if not thousands of dollars. So it's possible to really do well reselling him. And then we have Jean Paul Gaultier, another really nice brand. I have sold some pants from this brand that I got in the bins. I have also sold a vintage mesh dress that I found at my local thrift store for $7 for $500 in a day. Knowing these brands, recognizing them will definitely give you a leg up on your competition. Then we have Vivienne Westwood, which makes more like, not as like high-end tier as like Yves Saint Laurent or Louis Vuitton, but still the things that you could find from this brand will probably resell for right around $100, which I still think is great. Along with John Galliano, that also, anything you find from this brand usually will resell for around $100. But you know, you could find something that's really nice or really substantial and sell it for a couple more than that. Then we have Jimmy Choo. Jimmy Choo shoes are very, very well known, but also very popular and resell for hundreds of dollars. Then we have Stella McCartney, which she makes some gorgeous pieces, and I love her more like girly, frilly pieces personally. But she also has her collaboration with Adidas, and those can do really well. But just standalone Stella McCartney is designer level. So definitely be on the lookout for her. And then we have Balmain, and Balmain is really like really up there. It's very like, I would say more European style inspired, but then also Balmain is worn by the likes of people like Gigi Hadid and models and things like that. Some of the pieces from this brand are really crazy, but if you can find it, here's what the tag and logo looks like. Then we have Kenzo, and Kenzo makes some really nice pieces. A lot of the pieces that I've been seeing lately are more like tropical and very bright pieces. Kenzo also has a collab, I believe, with Target, so you don't want to, maybe some of those pieces might be worth picking up, but Kenzo by itself is definitely much more expensive and will resell for much more than a Target collab piece. And then this is the interesting one. So Tom Ford, I have Tom Ford on here on the list. He actually used to work for Gucci. So Gucci pieces from the Tom Ford era can do really, really well. And then Tom Ford by himself here also does well. So I have on here heels, jackets, sunglasses are things to look out for from his brand. And often you can even like get your glasses from Tom Ford like brand. But the right pair can go for $1,000 if you find something in those three categories. And so definitely one to be on the lookout for. And I feel like his name is not as conspicuous as, say, like Louis Vuitton. So maybe you could find a Tom Ford piece, you know? And then we have Berluti, which is leather shoes and bags is what you should be on the lookout for from this one. This is one, again, I don't know if everyone knows it. And so it's helpful to have at least an eye on what the brand and tag could look like. And then we have Comme des Garçons, which is a really nice brand. And a lot of people can recognize it by like the little heart, the little like crazy eye heart thing. Not all pieces from them have that on it, but they also do some collabs. They've done some collabs with Converse. Try to think what else they've done, but a lot of their pieces, even collabs, can go for good money. But I would say for the whole, just finding the brand itself is definitely more desirable. And then we have Paul Smith, which again makes shoes. And I actually just had a subscriber mention in a comment not too long ago that they found a pair of Paul Smith shoes at the thrift. So I know it can be done. I haven't found it yet, but I'm hoping to sometime soon. And then we have, and then we have Ermenegildo Zegna. I'm sure I could be butchering that. that is a brand I had not really heard of before I did research and is definitely something to be on the lookout for. And then we have Thom Browne. Again, this brand isn't going to go for probably like as much as something that's like really crazy, but it is designer level and you can resell pieces for $100-ish. And so Thom Browne though too, I feel like that name isn't as conspicuous, so keep an eye out for that one. And then we have Belstaff, which would be jackets. So a jacket from Belstaff could resell for a couple $100. Definitely something to be on the lookout for. And I love highlighting these designer pieces that maybe not everyone knows. I think that's really fun. And then the last designer brand on my list is Erdem, which is all capitals, ERDEM. But a lot of pieces will sell for $100-ish, which is great. So that is quite the list. There's so many designers out there and there's so many more that I could even have covered or talked about. So let me know down below if you have any other designers you'd like to add to my list. I know that this is not everything. This is not comprehensive. So if you have sold something else that's resold for hundreds of dollars and you want to let me know in the comments, I would love that. I think that will help all of us who are looking to either thrift really nice pieces for ourselves or resell pieces and make some good money on the side. If you guys have been enjoying these brand list videos, then please let me know in the comments and also show me by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing. It really does impact me and my channel a lot. So thank you guys so much for really responding well to these videos. I enjoy making them and I think it's a lot of fun to do. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And until the next video, bye.